you don't fuck with. My money on my family. I don't play that shit. I flip and go schizo. All this rapping bullshit will go straight out the window. And I'm very plugged in these streets for your info. From New York to LA and everywhere in the middle. So check, made up and set up the stage while we celebrate like it's Thanksgiving every day. But anyway, pass the turkey, mashed potatoes, and the gravy too. I'm here to eat, I wish I was here to play with you. I'm chilling at the finish line with my feet up, and of course we thank God every time before we eat up.
Listen, billiard head. This judging better be on the up and up, you hear me?
The name of the Alderman Davis has always been associated with double honesty, double integrity.
Double dealing.
And double No. Now that's not right, Travona.
Yeah. We'll do it together. Okay. Well, some of you know the history of the last 6 years of my ministry. That's who we work for. We work for you. And then Tammy. You know what? Tammy ain't gonna get elected. Tammy not gonna get elected. Nobody knows her. But I'm gonna tell you, Tammy's been an employee for UPS for 31 years. Has hired over 10,000 people. Gentleman, Phil, you know him. You've seen him on TV. You know, they say he don't live here. We're gonna object to him going on the slate. Well, we proved all that. He wind up on the slate. And he's standing up here because he got elected. Because he got elected. And guess why I put him on the slate? Because we have to address some of the things that happen here in Dalton that may be on a criminal level. And over the years, Andrew Holmes has been out here helping in communities. And he's kind of like the old Russ Ewing. You know, some of you remember Russ Ewing?
Street gangs have been marking off turf in Chicago for years. A decade ago, gangs, for the most part anyway, were black operating on the west and south sides. Today, police say that Latinos make up 98% of the gangs in neighborhoods on the west and north side. And we want to emphasize that you should use discretion, parents, in allowing children to view this report. Some viewers may find certain scenes objectionable because of their violent nature. Russ Ewing has been covering this story about street gangs for more than a decade, and he's here now with the first part in his series on Chicago street gangs. Russ?
Chuck, street gangs in Hispanic areas have been fighting among themselves, and as a result, the police have declared war on the law-breaking elements in those gangs. We began watching this about 4 months ago, and in this series, we'll present the problem and some possible solutions. Again, some scenes in the first segment may be frightening to young children, so again, we advise parents to consider that. But we were looking for the facts, and we found them distressing. Most of these inscriptions and drawings were put here by gang members. About 15 known street gangs have been marking off their territory on the north and west sides of Chicago for years, mainly in Spanish-speaking neighborhoods. In some places, it's hard to find a building which has not been defaced, and some homeowners are afraid to paint over it. This is a part of street gang activity which we have all seen. But there's another more vicious dimension to gang activity which most of us have not seen. and we could not tell the true story of street gangs without showing it. The 4 young men you have just seen and 32 more were murdered here in Chicago in the past 120 days. Police called it a gang war.
They operate in a lot of the same ways as in the Capone days. They roll by in their cars and they shoot from their cars and take off.
It became so violent that Chicago's newly elected mayor called on police officials to crack down on law-breaking street gangs. Beefed up patrols and harassment of known street gang members reduced the number of killings, but after a while the violence began all over again. This teenager, whose name we agreed not to use, was gunned down inside a hallway. He was a known gang member. It happened again on April 23rd. 20-year-old Ralph Negron and his 17-year-old brother Isaac were shot to death a block from their home. And the names go on and on.
Yeah.
Examine how gang activity has affected some local businesses, and we'll try to probe into the mind of a teenager caught up in gang activity.
Russ, do the police have any idea why the violence started 120 days ago with the figure that you used?
I think the weather caused it. The weather was getting better. Police don't really know what's going on out there. They're trying to just stop what's going on now, and it's kind of hard to do.
Okay, thank you, Russ. We look forward to tomorrow's report.
Well, street gangs have been carving up territory in Chicago for a long time. A decade ago, gangs, for the most part, were black, operating on the west and south sides. Today, police say that Latinos make up 98% of the gangs in neighborhoods on the west and north side. Now, Russ Ewing has been covering gang stories for years here, and he's here now with part 1 and a series of special reports. Russ?
Jim, the predominantly Spanish-speaking gangs began fighting among themselves early this spring, and we have been watching that for about 4 months. In this series, we'll show what has happened and we'll suggest possible solutions. Now, some of the scenes in tonight's segment may be frightening to young children, and parents should be aware of that. But we were looking for the facts, and we found them to be almost tragic. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at the gang's effect on local businesses, and we'll try to talk with a gang member who wouldn't talk very much.
Okay, thank you, Russ.
When you ask a member of one of Chicago's street gangs why he is in a gang, the answer that you get over and over again is because it's a status symbol. You're somebody when you're in a gang. Russ Ewing is familiar with that answer. He is also familiar with the terror that a gang can bring to a neighborhood. And he joins us again this afternoon with part 2 in his series on Chicago street gangs. Russ?
Chuck, it appears that police may be winning their war against Hispanic street gangs. The violence dropped off a little bit this week, but businessmen and property owners in gang territory are not winning. They have lost millions. The outbreak of gang violence has caused some businessmen to close their stores early and go home before dark. They're simply afraid. And others say they like to see policemen in their neighborhoods at night. But policemen cannot be everywhere. They could not help the Rodriguez family. 42-year-old Armando Rodriguez would not appear on camera. He too was afraid. Gang members practically destroyed his house with fire bombs. Their reason? 2 teenagers living here refused to join their gang, and the family moved out during the night. Another resident of this community said that the reason behind their fear is real. He said that some gang members have such strong beliefs that they are willing to die in the name of their organization. We found that incredible, but true. Reporter Rich Samuels interviewed a gang member who had just been shot in the face by a rival gang. Despite his suffering, he was still defiant.
If your mother tells you to get out of this gang, would you listen to her and do what she said?
I doubt it.
Castillo didn't take his mother's advice. A day after his release from the hospital, he was on the street again, boasting that he is a gang member.
The kings are lords, the masters of the killers, and that's the way it is.
You sound like you're high on something right now. Come on, talk to me.
All right, I'm talking.
Are you high on something?
Nope.
Well, how can you believe that you can go buy a sweater and become important as a result of that?
Well, this sweater, they want it. I'm not saying. This sweater, they don't want me to talk. My people don't want me to talk.
Although it's apparent that he is not aware of it, Castillo is the real gang victim, and there are so many others like him. Tomorrow we'll show a gang which made a deal with a drug pusher.
Okay, thank you, Russ. We'll be looking forward to that.
Coming up next tonight, we have part 3 of Russ Ewing's series on Chicago street gangs, and today we're going to take a look at the Humboldt Park riot and its aftermath. It's been 2 years now since the riots in Humboldt Park, and in that time, Latinos will tell you that not too much has changed for them. Russ Ewing tonight is going to take a look back at how the things were at that time, 2 years ago. He's also going to take a look at how the situation is now in part 3 of his series on Chicago street gangs. Russ?
Chuck, the Latinos were right. Not much has changed in Hispanic communities in the past 2 years, and in some locations, conditions are even worse. But a close look at some activities there reveals why conditions are worse. The city got a sample of Hispanic unrest June 4th, 1977. One youth was killed and scores were injured in a full-scale riot in Humboldt Park. The anger was apparently directed at what is sometimes called the system or the establishment. Policemen, city hall, politicians, and even the press. Police reports indicated that the violence was started by known gang members, and others simply joined in. But after the riots, individual gangs returned to their neighborhoods and began fighting among themselves. And we discovered that some of the older gang members used their gang connections for profit. That profit came from drugs. We taped this operation with a hidden camera. The man seen here kept a drug supply in a garbage can, and he sold to customers in automobiles in full view of everyone. A gang member told us that the peddler supplied them with drugs, and in return, they chased other pushers out of the neighborhood. Police confirmed the drug connection. Official reports indicated that in about 80% of the homicides involving street gangs, either the offenders or the victims were involved with drugs. But the killings and the retaliation which always follows has been over symbols. The gang's symbols painted on walls, or the gang's letters on sweaters or T-shirts. They consider capturing a T-shirt from a rival gang member as a mark of honor. Do you agree that gang banging is stupid?
Yes, I agree. It's stupid.
But you do it.
But I do it, but it's stupid. It's stupid enough to do. You
We
can put
might
it that
come
way.
here next week and you'll be laying up in the morgue.
No, not the kid. No. No.
While we were taping this series, we met a few hundred Hispanic teenagers, and the majority of them were disgusted at what a few are doing. The question is, can they override that hardcore gang element? Tomorrow, we'll see some adult victims of gang violence. Chuck?
Okay, thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ.
2 years after the Humboldt Park riots, there still haven't been many substantive changes for Latinos, and street gang violence continues. Russ Ewing looks at what led to the unrest back then and the current situation in Chicago street gangs, part 3. Russ?
Yeah, it's true that there hasn't been much change in Latino communities over the past 2 years, and in some other locations, the situation is even worse. But there are reasons for all that, and a close look reveals why.
No, not the kid. No. No.
We met a few hundred Latino teenagers while we were taping this series, and a vast majority of them were disgusted at what a few of them are doing. The question is, can they override this hardcore gang element? Tomorrow, some unlikely adult gang victims. Chuck?
Okay, we'll look forward to that report, Russ. Thank you. Police tonight are investigating the possibility of street gang involvement in the shooting murder of a 16-year-old North Side boy, now identified as James Norales. He was apparently in a vacant lot when 3 boys pulled up on bicycles and then they shot him. Gangs use their violence and their terror against each other, but it rarely stops there. Many times, innocent people are caught in the middle of the gunfire. Russ Ewing takes a look tonight at those innocent victims as he continues part 4 on his series on street gangs.
Chuck, tonight we have the tragic story of 2 senior citizens shot down by street gangs, and a look at how gang members deceive reporters. Most of those who live where gangs operate were reluctant to appear on camera, but they said the innocent suffer most.
I think it's disgusting the way they can get a hold of the guns and then, you know, they're caught and they're not even, you know, they're not even corrected for the crime they did.
73-year-old Mrs. Mary Kessler was shot to death a year and a half ago. There was a gang shooting, and she was on her way home from a grocery store, hit by a stray bullet. 75-year-old Steve Mort was lucky. He was caught in crossfire between 2 gangs. A bullet passed within inches of his heart, but he survived.
Here's number 3. Danny, give me your helmet. There's number 4.
Gang members would not admit that they are a threat to innocent people. In several interviews, different groups tried to convince us that they are a positive force in their community. They bragged about their manhood, and one said, "Manhood is all we have." They were proud of this teenager because he survived the shooting, and police took 6 guns away from him in 1 year. But finally, one gang leader admitted that they were only kidding. He said that they consider it fun to deceive police and reporters. A month ago, 3 kids were shot. 2 of them died. The Negron brothers over on the
right.
Now, when something like that happens, don't you have some feeling toward the people involved in that?
What I heard from the Negron brothers, they weren't in no gang. This was the ones who got shot. They weren't in no gang. That was what you call an accidental shooting.
Accidental shooting?
Yeah, they was in the way of the bullets. Around here right now we don't have no guns, and if anything, I'll admit we do use baseball bats once in a while if needed. We may even use a blade or so, but guns, we're trying to cease fire. That's what's going on right now, cease fire.
Now, about 90% of what you just told me in the past 5 minutes is a bunch of bull, isn't it? Isn't it now? You're just putting on a show for me because I got a camera here, aren't you?
No, half of it. But the thing is, we can't be...
Half, 90%, how much? How much was bull?
20%.
Okay. See, I was out on the street asking people like you questions before you were born, probably.
Yeah.
And I can figure out bull when I hear it very easily.
Right.
Now, half of it was bull, wasn't it?
Not half of it. Thing is,
How much?
We can't be frank with you because this is going to be publicized, and if it is publicized, we can't tell you where we're getting our guns from, if anything.
You just admitted that some of it's bull,
right?
Haven't you?
Some of it is.
How much?
20%.
Just 20%?
Yeah.
Okay. That young man was representative of the gang members that we met while we were taping this series. Tomorrow we'll take a look at changing attitudes and some possible solutions. Jim and Chuck.
Okay, Russ, it's obvious you're on to them. A 19-year-old was forced to kneel before he was shot in a street gang dispute today. Juan Vargas is in fair condition at St. Elizabeth Hospital. Vargas told police that he was approached by some members of a Latino gang at the corner of Western and Potomac Avenue. Vargas said that the gang members put a gun to his head, told him to kneel, and then they shot him twice in the abdomen and in the arm. In another incident, a 15-year-old boy, Robert Aguilar, was critically wounded in the head this morning, shot in the head while standing on a street corner with several friends on the city's southwest side. Aguilar is in intensive care at the University of Illinois Hospital. Russ Ewing is all too familiar with that kind of street gang violence. He has been covering Chicago's street gang activities for more than a decade now. And he's here tonight with some observations on then and now. This in the conclusion of his extremely interesting and provocative week-long series of special reports on the Chicago street gang situation. Russ?
Chuck, we found one of our 10-year-old films on street gangs, and teenagers then had the same attitudes they have today. And some began to turn away from street gangs when they looked at the facts. Young adults living where street gangs operate know of the dangers, but they insist on taking a chance. Many are saying the same things today that their predecessors said a decade ago. Last night you got shot. If you had been killed, 3 days from now they could have been digging a hole, putting you in the ground. You're just lucky. Now what about it?
Well, you know, it's always a time for somebody to die, you know.
But don't you know if you shoot somebody, you might go to jail?
Yeah, everybody know that. They shot him. They're not in jail. Right on. You might not even get convicted at all. Because a lot of cases just gets thrown out of court. You might not even get convicted. You might even get a chance to walk the streets again.
If we kill off each other, the white people ain't got nothing to worry about, you know. So that's really stupid, going around shooting each other. It is stupid in a way, killing each other, you know.
There shouldn't be none of this Latinos against Latinos.
But when a man gets killed because of some spray paint on a wall, isn't that stupid? Isn't that really stupid? Come on now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But in many cases, teenagers in large numbers are turning away from gangs and drugs. And the reasons? They have been shocked by what they have seen. They have been shocked by senseless murders and the grief which always follows. But despite all you have seen here, there are still too many young people caught up in the gang syndrome. And whether they know it or not, they're on a road that leads to nowhere. The Latin community and the authorities have not solved the street gang problem in 10 years, and we can't solve it in 10 minutes. But officials have learned lessons from the past. The giveaway programs where gangs control the funds have failed, and at best, some administrators of those programs became rich, and the gangs became powerful and vicious. The most urgent need is for better education, job training, and jobs after the training. Some neighborhood facilities may ease the problem, but most of the responsibility should be in the home. Parents must do more than simply bring children into the world. The police should be allowed to control the immediate problem by whatever means necessary within the law, and federal government should beef up its war against drugs. There are some gang members, however, who are destined to end up as hardcore criminals, and officials can't do much about that. But the thousands of innocent teenagers on the fringe of the gangs must be given a chance to fight their way out of poverty and ignorance without being murdered on the street. Jim and Chuck?
Excellent series. I want to tell you. You mentioned some things there that we should do in order to curb the gang problems. Is there anything that we shouldn't do that we're doing now that we should?
We shouldn't publicize them too much. We shouldn't praise them. We shouldn't put money into the gangs. We should cut them down whenever they need to be cut down.
Okay. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ. Russ Ewing has been looking at the problems of Chicago street gangs in a series of special reports this week, and tonight he draws the conclusion that these gangs are just a symptom of a real problem, the attitudes of ghetto teenagers. Russ?
Jim, we found one of our 10-year-old films on street gangs, and teens then had the same attitudes they have today. But some of them began to show signs of turning away from gangs when they looked at the facts. If you had been killed, 3 days from now, they could have been digging a hole, putting you in the ground. You're just lucky. Now, what about it?
Well, you know, it's always a time for somebody to die, you know.
The Latin community and the authorities have not solved the gang problem in 10 years, and we can't solve it here in 10 minutes. But officials have learned lessons from the past. Giveaway programs where gangs control the funds don't work. At best, over the years, administrators of these programs became rich, and the gangs became more vicious. The urgent need is for better education, for job training, and for jobs after the training. But most of the responsibility should be in the home. Parents should try to do more than simply have children. They should control those children. The Chicago Police Department is doing all it can within the law, but the federal government should beef up its war on drugs. But no matter what the authorities do, there are some gang members who will grow up to be hardcore criminals. But the thousands of innocent teenagers who are forced to live in gang territory must be given a chance to fight their way out of poverty and ignorance without being murdered on the street. Chuck?
Okay, that was an excellent job, Russ. And I'll tell you, that last scene is so graphic, it tells it all. That young boy sticking that gun in his pants. Really something.
I'm going to turn myself in, but I'm afraid to turn myself into the police, so I'm going to turn myself into Russ Ewing, even though I know I'm going, but maybe they'll handle me a little gentler. That's why we got Andrew Holmes. So here it is, right here. Communications. You're going to know what's going on. Jobs. And public safety.
This is Senator Napoleon Harris. We just want to say congratulations to the new village trustees of the Village of Dalton. I'm happy and excited about the new direction that Dalton is going in. Looking forward to working with them and Mayor Riley Rogers in the future. Thank you.
Okay, this plaque and award says East West University, Social Awareness College, Readiness Job Resource Fair, Andrew Holmes, thank you for your tireless time, dedicated service, and support of the youth of Chicagoland area.
I'd like to thank you, Andrew.
Well, this was unexpected. First and foremost, I give all praises to Christ through the prayers. I'd like to thank the mayor and the board. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers, Chuck, Penny, and Trini, and everybody that got out of here and grinded from one end of Dalton to the other end of Dalton. And I want to thank the village residents of Dalton for opening up your doors, just listening. Not to the bad side, but the good side. As Obama said, change coming, change is here. We're going to start working with the mayor and the trustees to build strength in the police department, public work, fire department, and also build up the village of Dalton. Dalton is a place where you're supposed to come and live and rest and enhance the quality of life. And as I stated, and I tell them all, now when you come to Dalton, if you think about doing any crime, you might well turn around because it's a new time.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes, for all your community.
We skip citizens' address and ask for an adjournment here. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Yes.
May I be recognized just 1 minute?
Yes, go ahead.
Just 1 minute before we adjourn. You know, I just want to pass this to my mama, because without her, I wouldn't be me. Mama, will you come and get this?
Okay, I didn't know his mother was in the audience.
And also, real quick, where's my grandbaby, Kiara? You know, I lost my daughter 2 years ago. And I know my daughter would have been here, and I know she's still here. But, you know, to keep moving forward, I take care of my grandbaby, and it's my grandbaby. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, good. And since we went there, Ed Steve, his parents are here. He's going to perform for us tonight. Then we got the Vance Kelly Band. This is a celebration for us tonight. And then we got Mr. Logan over there on the sound. He provided all the sound for us here. And that food line is getting real long. We got our police officers here, our chief, our department heads, Janice, Matt Stacy, our engineer. So I hope I didn't miss anybody. And I'm Madam Clerk. Okay. And we're going to get a motion to adjourn.
May I be recognized, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get recognized real quick before I get in trouble. Steve, you brought something up. I got to recognize my better half, Helen Riley.
Helen works for us in the Public Works Department. Okay. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second. It's been motioned.
Thank you, Chief. Any discussion up here on the board?
Yeah, Mayor, may I be recognized?
Go ahead, Trustee.
First and foremost, I want to thank the community because this last wave of gun violence that we had, they came out, they gave up video surveillance, they gave up information, and it was the community that came up at the crime scene on both of the last shootings. And you talking about people standing up being tough, it was the community. And I can guarantee you, like I told you, these cases going to be solved because of this community. Enough is enough. We're not playing the numbers games. We're not putting out the numbers just because, you know, and hopefully we hire these police officers. We're not hiring them or hiring them because of gang violence. We're hiring them because of overall drug trafficking, whatever criminal activity they're thinking about doing in Dalton. And just as the chief say, if you see that sign, you better think about turning around, because you go through Evergreen, they don't play. Guess what? You're going to find out Dalton ain't going to play. And it's going to be because of the residents working with the police department bonding. You know, they done marched and marched, they done ran and ran. Dr. Keenan did what all he had to do, but guess what? We got to stand up, and it's about action. And at this next police board meeting that we have coming up on the 31st, we ask that you come out. Bring your information about any crack house, drug house, I don't care what's going on. It's the community that's going to put a stop to this. They can say what they want to say about Dalton Police Department, but I'm out here and they're working 24 hours around the clock trying to solve these last cases, and I'm 100% they're going to solve them. But it was the community that stepped up, showed out, and showed other people how to do what you got to do. People in Chicago looking, oh yeah, Dalton did step up, and I'm letting them know for the record. They did step up. They did come up and give up the information. They're not scared. They put the videos right there when the officers were there. They gave them the information, gave them names, and that's what it takes. And all the naysayers that want to point the finger, then turn around, look at the mirror, and look at yourself. Because I'm going to stand behind Dalton Police Department and do what we got to do and help. But my hat goes off to the residents of the village of Dalton who stood up, came out, didn't care what camera was there, didn't care who was looking at them. They knew a crime happened here, and they gave up the information. And at the end of the day, we owe it to the village of Dalton people.
I forgot to mention, please, my apologies. First of all, I want to say a thank you to Cook County Sheriff's Department, Illinois State Police, and any and every agency that assisted us last week on our incident. An update on that incident. You all know that our officer returned fire, hitting one in the leg, which was taken into custody immediately, pending him being released from the hospital and being contained by Cook County Sheriff's Department. He was charged and is awaiting trial for attempt murder to appeal, 2 counts of aggravated restraint and aggravated armed robbery. The second offender, which we had a good lead on, we had in custody, but we was waiting on DNA to come back from Illinois State Police Crime Lab. At the point that we had him, you only have so much time to hold him, in which he was released. 24 hours after we released him, the DNA came back positive to the second shooter. I'm happy to announce that today we got a warrant signed by the judge, and we did not have to search for the individual. Our detective called him in and said, hey, I need to see you. I have a warrant for you. If you can come in or we will hunt you down. He has came in. He's in custody right now, and he's being processed and will be transferred over to Cook County Sheriff Department in the morning. So we have both shooters that committed the crime of armed robbery and that were attempted to take the life.
Keep them incarcerated or let them out.
Man, be recognized for a minute. I walked that block the last 2 days. I got the information on this young man, like I explained. When you sign a complaint on this individual so he can be arrested, you must follow through on it. Just don't think just because they come through there and they arrest him you don't have to come to court. If you're going to stand up strong. And I explain, if this is going on and it went on last night, call 911, get the police over there, sign the complaint so he can get arrested. You know, if he don't sign the complaint, he's going to continue to walk. But I agree with him. If you sign that complaint and they get him and you go to court, I go to court with you. I stand with you. But you got to be able to stand up strong, because not all individuals are disturbed, but this individual, from walking that block, talking to the resident, he has some problems and they need to be addressed.
Hey, Pat. Hey, man. And I came by there one morning, she's out there painting the fire hydrant. Because we all got to take charge, and we all got to take a positive role in trying to get our community back on stable ground and be positive and be proud of where you live. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Trustees Denton? Aye. Steve?
Aye.
House?
Aye.
Brown? Aye. Holmes?
Aye.
Henyard? Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Where that lady is? Oh, there she go. First and foremost, I'm going to say this. I work with any and everybody. But when I see you hurting the peoples, then it's time for me to distance myself from you. I ran to help people. Can't do it all by myself. Mm-hmm. And I applaud each and every man, even some that are standing in here, because there's so much crime throughout this city, throughout this village. It's been a lot of the men in the Dalton have not been recognized because, see, they're not having it on their block. And they've been the first ones to stand up and address that issue on their block. But I've seen so much here in this village since I've been a trustee. And excuse my language. It's a damn shame that trustees that was here before me, bickering and fighting with Riley the same way. And I say this and I mean it. But you same ones that was bickering and fighting and not worrying about tax people dollars, but you in the same damn room right now trying to destroy this village now. You couldn't get in a room when he was mayor. You wouldn't go. But now you all get in the same room and try to destroy this village and try to put venom and let this village bleed. Yep. Until I see wrong, then I'll step away. But I'm going to stand as long as it's right. When I see more women lose their job with this last administration, more women had lost their jobs, forced out of here. Some are relocated with the help of the FBI in other states until they continue this investigation and get to the point where they have to make some arrests because of so much money that have been stolen in this village. And I say that from the past trustees to the last mayor. I ran against him because I seen things that wasn't right. It wasn't that I hate that man. There were things that wasn't right. And there are things that had need to be changed. People forced out of their job. Police department, police is in Dalton. Couldn't talk to me because you were dictating them not to talk to me because you wanted to hide the crime that was in this village. And I didn't want to hide it. I go to the media, I put it out because I feel they should know one way or another whether you put it out or not, because they can get shot if it's not out there. Police are scared to talk to me. That was in Dalton because of this crime, because you know why? They had a family and they had a job. And for you, the last mayor administration, to tell them not to talk to me and in fear of their job, you were wrong. But then you called me in your office and tell me who to talk to and who not to talk to, who to take a picture with and who not to take a picture with, who to stay away from and who not to eat with. I'm a grown man. You're not going to tell me who to talk to. You're not going to tell me when to stop. It's like telling me when I got to go to the washroom. It's about this village. It's about this people. And I don't care who the mayor is. The people own this village. The people run this. And if you don't like it, then move. I don't have no hatred in Riley. I pray for his help. But when you try to dictate and try to tell me what to do and not help the people, and when it came down to crime, you didn't want the people to know about the crime. And I said this, and I said it from my heart. From the last trustees was here, and I meant it. You all around the table now, trying to discuss what to do, how to end things in this village. Stand up and listen to these people. Everybody got an opportunity here, even the trustees that are on this board now. There's many rooms here in this village, in this hall. Sit around the table, discuss things. Let's get things out the way. Let's get these taxes down. Let's help. The people won't help. They want to see this place grow. And it just hurts me that African American people, whether they're men or women, instead of trying to destroy each other.
Yes.
So charge it to my head and not my heart. If it was another race and another creed and a color up here, nobody would say nothing.
Yes.
And you look at how Malcolm X and Dr. King wanted to uplift this state and uplift this city, and now you're going backwards. We don't have time to go backwards. We don't have time to do this, and we don't have time to do that. And if there was anything that was going wrong, any money that's been stolen, any money that has been misused and abused, there's the U.S. Marshal and FBI would love to come in here and do what they have to do to take these things down. So while we got our people here and while we're holding these seats, let's keep these seats, keep moving, and educate our children.
Yep. Thank you, Trustee. Are you done? Done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're going to open it up for citizens' address. We're going to end on that note. Thank you, Trustee Holmes. Okay. You got 3 minutes. Chief, you got it, Chief Collins?
Got talking with the fire department in Indiana, state of Indiana, reason because they have a safe haven box. That alarm goes off and it goes from the chief on down to the chief of the police department, chief of the fire department. That alarm goes off once that baby is placed in that box. I'm trying to see how we can generate funds to have them to build 2 of those boxes here in both firehouses. You can still bring the child to the firehouse now, but I'm working on that part, and those are some of the things that we are doing. But also you mentioned about the firemen over at the schools. I'm going to be talking to the chief. You know, little children coming up love to see people in uniforms and see people working. That's just a mentorship. So I'm going to talk to the Chief Mobley about maybe we can get 2 of those officers, you know, to go over to the schools too. You know, you have the police department and you have the fire department. You have your next fire chief, your fire captains right in that school in an early grade. Let me see. The incidents activity reports from January the 1st, 2019 up until October 31st, 2019. There was a total of 85 calls for fires, motor vehicle accidents, 250, emergency medical service, 2,484, hazardous conditions, 172, fire service calls with good intents, 301, fire alarms, detectives activators, 272, special incidents 5, technical rescues 4, a total of 3,673. And I must remind you that, you know, we're getting into the season where, you know, check your carbon and the monoxide, get your fire, whatever you have to do to save lives inside your house. You know, practice, teach your kids, teenagers, and sometimes even older adults, and check on the seniors. Please check on the seniors because they forget, you know, to put batteries in their alarm system. As of November the 4th, during the month of October 2019, the Chicago Police Department responded to 3,016 calls for service. In addition to responding to the calls, the following activities was recorded. First watch for traffic, there was 108. Second watch, 21. Third watch, 64. A total of 193. Previous month, we had 276. Parking violations, first watch 45, second watch 81, third watch 48, a total of 174. Previous month, we had 274. Criminal arrests. First watch, 35. Second watch, 3. Third watch, 37. A total of 75. Previous month, 63. Warrants. First watch, 7. Second watch, 3. A total of 10. Previous month, 10. Good evening. Came out for the Halloween, Safe Halloween. But second of all, I'd like to thank the community for constantly calling, giving up information, and not giving up no matter what year it was that an incident happened. On October the 9th, 2012, there was 5 individuals that decided to organize some crime in Dalton. They were off 148th and Wentworth. The crime consists of attempted murder, 5 armed robberies, 5 carjackings. Murders was committed in Dalton. Murders was committed in Chicago and other surrounding suburbs areas. I want to say, as of last week, 5 of those individuals were found guilty. Thanks to the community, thanks to the hard-working detectives and the police officers in Dalton. Officer Brian Cardine, Officer Coleman, the detective division in the other suburbs, South Suburban Task Force that assisted, and Officer Darrell Holt. And what I'm going to say is, as we have new officers coming in and getting sworn in, we got to think about our home base here with our own detectives that go to court every day, being there 8 hours a day, sometime at night, and look at our officers, Coleman, and look at Holt, and our other officers. It's one thing they do. And I say, if you're going to commit a crime in Dalton, you better think twice, because we got the toughest detectives here that's going to solve these cases. And if they're solving these cases, which they are, our past cases, our present cases, we need to look at promoting these officers, sergeants, and commanders. I'm done now. Thank you.
Just did is a violation. I had nothing that I was going to say standing here today. I was coming to be just a simple spectator. But make no mistake, I'm going to make it my representative job to make sure each one of you go appropriately where you need to go. And if you do anything that you just did, I ain't got no problem citing you with the FBI, because you've already violated the color of law. There will be no more of that. And he can't move me in his nightmare. And I want all you all to understand, that is no more of that. As a people representative, are you all the biggest fools in this subdivision? I am an official people's representative. You have all made me a witness against you. And don't you keep being no fool with my rights. Period. What I say to the resident, take it back. All these taxpayer dollars, they yours. Take it back. Get rid of them. We don't need no more outsiders. This is what we get.
This isn't necessary. You may, however, show your gratitude by making a generous donation to my favorite charity, the Alderman Fred C. Davis Clinic for Unneutered Cats.
Alderman, I didn't.
My secretary will accept your check on the way out. Good day, Wilhelmina.
The name is...
This hour 18, he's helped in solving murders and cold cases. Now this well-known Chicago community activist helps police catch his own brother, accused of a crime hitting so many of us in the city. CBS 2's Stephen Graves talked to him about why he led police to a member of his own family.
Andrew Holmes believes wrong is wrong, even if it means holding a family member accountable.
No, we're close, not bitter. When you got the proof right here, and I'm looking at you, and I'm watching you.
Holmes is referring to this doorbell video he says shows his brother Eric Holmes stealing packages. You see him walk up to and then sit on a porch later walking away, bag in hand.
These are people's personal properties. They paid for these items to come.
Holmes says Auburn Gresham neighbors recognized his brother. Call after call from other people saying his sibling did the same thing to them.
So yeah, I got to put a stop to him.
And he did.
You know they looking for you. Ooh. Police.
Yeah. Calling Chicago police detectives to come pick him up last month, Holmes' normal work of helping find murder suspects and consoling grieving families put on pause for his own family business.
You know, just because you're my brother don't make you right, that you have to commit a crime and you have to get away.
This is far from the first time Eric has had trouble with the law, accused in July of stealing packages from a USPS mail truck, smashing the side window with a rock. Police say they caught him with a duffel bag full of the stolen items ranging from shirts and jeans to coasters. Holmes says his brother struggles with substance abuse. This was in an effort to save him, he says, from more run-ins with the law or even getting killed.
Who's the best person to find a relative is a relative. You know how to find him, you know how to get him, put a stop to him.
Holmes says he hopes by speaking up this will motivate anyone with loved ones caught up in criminal activity to take action and get those family members some much needed help. Reporting in Auburn Gresham, Stephen Graves, CBS 2 News.
Eric Holmes is now facing a felony count of theft for his recent arrest. He was back in court today, and we are working to get an
Activist Andrew Holmes was fired from the organization Chicago Survivors. In that role, Holmes has shown up to many crime scenes to offer services to the families of homicide victims. Holmes is also a Dalton trustee and is facing sexual assault accusations by a former Dalton employee. Chicago Survivors says their relationships with the victims' families and the community is paramount, and there needs to be a strong mutual trust and an assumed high level of safety for the adults and children. Their statement goes on to say, quote, "For those reasons, we terminated his employment in April. Upon learning of those serious allegations, Holmes didn't respond to our request for comment once the lawsuit by his accuser was filed."
There is some new fallout tonight to a story we've been following closely out of South Suburban Dalton. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's former assistant and a Dalton police officer have both filed a civil lawsuit against the mayor and trustee Andrew Holmes. Much of that lawsuit centered on what allegedly happened on a business trip to Las Vegas last May. NBC5's Regina Waldrop has spent 6 months trying to track down this story. She has a closer look at the new complaint.
Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, trustee Andrew Holmes, both now the focus of a civil lawsuit.
Everybody that's named in this lawsuit should resign from their position immediately.
The lawsuit was filed by two people, Henyard's former assistant and Dalton police officer Byron Miles. It accuses Holmes of assault and battery and Henyard of retaliation. The incidents allegedly occurred during and after an economic development trip to Las Vegas last May. On that trip, Henyard and a handful of Village and Thornton Township reps, including her former assistant and trustee Holmes. NBC is choosing not to name the woman. According to the complaint, the woman felt disoriented, lightheaded, and ultimately blacked out after dinner with Holmes. She woke up in the trustee's bedroom, physically uncomfortable and with no memory of how she got there. The complaint details a conversation between she and Officer Byron Miles when they returned from Las Vegas. A member of Mayor Henyard's security detail at the time, Officer Miles, in the complaint informed the woman that the trustee told him he had unprotected sex with her in Vegas. Officer Miles advised the woman to seek medical care. According to the complaint, when the woman met with Henyard to tell her about what allegedly happened, Henyard told her if the information got out, she would be ruined and all the work she'd done would be lost. She then claims Henyard told her that she would take care of it and that the woman should trust her. The woman claims she was later put on unpaid medical leave and later terminated. Miles claims he was removed from the mayor's security detail and returned to patrol duty and faced a number of retaliatory actions later on for coming forward as a witness to what he believed was either sexual harassment, exploitation of a woman. An attorney for Holmes told us he has no comment on the lawsuit. At Monday night's village board meeting, 4 Dalton trustees appointed Lori Lightfoot, Chicago's former mayor and a former federal prosecutor, as a special investigator to look into the Vegas trip and other allegations being made against the mayor.
At the conclusion of this investigation, I will provide an assessment of the findings and the recommendations, and I welcome and urge the full cooperation by Mayor Henyard, her staff, all village trustees.
The village told us in a statement it's imperative that any third-party counsel hired by trustees fully comply with legislative ordinance standards. At this stage, they do not meet these standards. Both the woman and Officer Miles have filed complaints with the Illinois Department of Human Rights. According to the lawsuit, they are seeking back pay, front pay, punitive damages, and also attorney's fees. Regina Waldrop, NBC5.
Well, hello there, Wilma. Nice of you to drop by. Usually it's me who pays you the visit.
Somebody always winds up paying when you stop.